And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
My guest is Ann Tucker, Trance channel for information from the Angelic Realm. The practical, poetic, and inspiring messages she brings through offer angelic guidance that will help prepare us and usher us through the planetary shift in consciousness. Ann, welcome back. It's been 2 years. It's great to have you back on again.
Thank you so much, Jeff. I have no idea where those 2 years went. It feels like it was just like yesterday that we talked, and then boom, I didn't even realize it had been that long.
Well, they say time doesn't exist on the other side, and maybe we're shifting into that here as well.
Either that or I'm just really forgetful.
Yeah.
One of the two. I'm losing time all over the place.
Well, my audience has significantly grown since the last time you were here. And so for the people who are new to you, I just want to give them a little bit of your background and how you became a channel.
Yeah, for sure. So I think like a lot of people, I always thought or felt that I was psychic or something. I was drawn to it. I think everyone has that in that they get the gut feelings or they have this sense that sometimes they know things they shouldn't. And I always had that. But it wasn't until I went through really my big wake up, my big sort of pull the blinders off, which for me came in as a divorce. I needed something to pull the rug out from underneath me in order to cause me to question everything in my world. And once that happened, then all of a sudden, all kinds of psychic experience started happening. And I didn't understand it at the time. It just seemed like, wow, crazy stuff. But it wasn't until I got further along in my process that everything that manifested for me was guiding me towards what would become a healing modality, a way of accessing other people's energy, where I started to feel and perceive details. I could perceive what was inside another person's body. I could move energetically into another person's body and feel like I could feel, oh wow, you've got a false knee, and you've got a broken rib, and I could feel all this stuff. And in the beginning, when that happened the first time, it was like I thought of someone, and then boom, I was inside their body. That'll get your attention when that happens. And the fact that I could confirm it all, because in the beginning, when you first start going through stuff like that, your first thing is, am I crazy? You know what I mean? Am I imagining that? But the stuff that happened, I could ask the person, I could call the person, be like, hey, are you on a plane right now? Yes, I am, or they weren't. They'd call me later. Yes, I was on a plane. Yes, I did look at those things. Yes, I was wearing that. And it was all confirmable. So it got me started down this path of asking myself, like really intense curiosity, so much curiosity that I eventually decided to leave my very successful corporate career and go down the path of becoming a healer, which everyone told me was crazy to do, right? And I never looked back. It was the best decision of my life.
That's amazing to think about, being inside someone else's body and feeling their, like you said, a broken rib or whatever.
Yeah, it is so simple and I don't do it now without permission. The first time it happened, I didn't have permission. It just was spontaneous. But since that I know what the feeling is now, and I hold myself just outside of a person and I don't go in unless I have permission. But it's very, so if I asked if right now, if I had your permission, I could go in and I could feel, and I could be, oh, like you've got a little tickle in your throat, or you've got a sore wrist, or I could go in and it's literally like I feel your body as if it's mine. And I would go in and I could feel your clothing. I could feel the tension of the neck around the necktie around your neck. I can feel what kind of shoes, if you've got strappy sandals on, I can feel the straps. It's very trippy, but it works incredibly well. The reason why my gifting, and everybody's got gifts, but everybody's comes in differently. The reason why mine came in like that was because I would energetically move into another person. And then because I'm connected to the angels could move through me into another person. So I will go in, I will feel all the stuff, and then the angels come in and they can do the healing. And then I would have the amazing physical confirmation of feeling that energy leave the body. It'd be like a whoosh, and I could feel where a density would leave, and I would know the healing was done. But it's incredibly cool. It makes you really aware that we are not, like, the whole idea that we are these physical bodies is so not true. And we can go anywhere. Once I realized I could go into another person, I realized I could go anywhere. So there's no limit. The only thing that limits us is our own belief that, oh, that can't be true. That can't happen. But no, you can go. So now, I mean, like, this was that ability to be able to just believe that our consciousness can go anywhere. The thing I will allow myself to look at that and the angels have told me I'm way too conservative about this. If you have a gift, you're meant to use it, that I shouldn't have these feelings about privacy and stuff like that. But it's, that's our world. People expect a certain degree of privacy. So I respect it. But my kids will often ask me, like, they'll be at a meeting or they'll meet someone and be, hey, what did that person think of me? Or how did my meeting go? And I will go and I can see it, and I can see the emotion of the meeting. I can see what the person thought of them in a general way, the qualities of that interaction. And so it opened up doors of communication between me and my kids where they became open to the woo, because they knew I could tell them, hey, does this boy like me, or does this girl like me? You know what I mean? And but yeah, there's really no limit of where you can go, or what you can experience.
It's like being an empath times 10.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting you say that, because like, in terms of, as you start experimenting, if people are experimenting with moving their consciousness out of themselves, going in the direction of the empath is accessible. It's a thing, because feelings are strong. So if you go into what are the qualities of a person, what are the emotions of a person, that's a great place to start in terms of practicing to get outside of our own self and to connect into the sort of the oneness of everybody.
What is your mechanical reason or energetic reason why you can do this?
Yeah, that question is so awesome. And so, like, there's so much good stuff in there, because so I think I told you recently, I've been channeling a new energy. The angels told me that a new guide was coming in, and she said a great guide is coming, and she's the mother of creation is how she calls herself. And we call her by loads of different names, but any one of those names kind of only addresses a piece of her, a part of her. So it's like she's this energy of creation that floods through everything.
I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just had a guest recently that called kind of the mother of creation Sophia. Does that name resonate for you for that?
Not for me, but that might be her experience of her. But and I don't have a good name for her yet, because every name I use, it feels like it's just not big enough. Like, she's an energy that is all of creation. So she is the energy of creation that pervades everything. And it's this beautiful, loving mother. And she creates all the souls, and she creates, but she doesn't create everything, because we then turn around and create, right? But she has created some parts of our world. But um so in terms of, but through my conversations with her, I've come to this much deeper understanding about who humanity is and our role in the universe, and how we all kind of fit into this layer of, like, Russian dolls, where you have the little one inside of the big one inside of the big one. And then understanding, so how is it that you can, or anyone can, tap into the oneness, into the unity of humanity, is to understand that humanity is it's truly one. Humanity is one being. And so the way the angels described the metaphor that they gave, and that she would give, is that think of yourself as like a being that wants to understand itself, just like Source did. And so you sort of throw yourself off a cliff and shatter into a million pieces, like tempered glass. And each piece, it'd be like one human, one aspect of that whole. And then that one aspect is meant to experience itself fully. And so that idea of the glass shattering and becoming a million pieces, that is, again, the idea of the Russian dolls, that it happens again and again. So if Source wanted to understand itself, or himself or herself, then Source would say, okay, I'm going to break myself into a million pieces, a gazillion pieces. Each one of those is one of our higher selves, which then throws itself off a cliff and becomes a million little pieces. When we decide to incarnate, when you as a soul, when JeffMara says, okay, I am going to go incarnate on Earth, that choice, you then throw yourself off the cliff. And I say the cliff because it is a plunge. It's you're taking a risk when you incarnate. You don't know what you're going to experience. There is a certain element of throwing yourself into the chasm of, I don't know. And it's the trust fall, it's the nesty plunge, whatever you want to call it. That when you incarnate, the moment you incarnate, you create all of the souls, all of the lives you're going to have happen at once. So it's like you choose, you plunge, and then boom, you're shattered into all these tiny pieces. And each one of those is one of the lives that you're going to lead on Earth. And we think of it as being sequential because we're in time, but they all are created at the same moment. So, which is fascinating. So if you think about, all of us truly are this one original soul, that said, okay, I'm going to become humanity. I'm going to create this consciousness that is humanity, but I'm going to experience it from every possible. And think about each one of those little pieces of glass. It's like a diamond, and it has all these facets to it. And so as we incarnate, if you're going to say, I'm going to really explore this piece of glass, you have to explore every facet. You have to see it from every different angle, because every facet reflects something different. So it seems like it's infinite, but we will get to a place where we are picking up every time you heal, every time you work through something inside of yourself, a layer, a pattern, a belief system. It's like you're taking one of those shards and you're bringing it back to yourself. And we're in the process of slowly just picking up all the pieces that we've broken apart into and recreating ourselves individually. And then as we do that, we become part of the whole. And then the whole is gradually, as each soul, as each one of us heals and gets our vibration higher and higher and moves into the oneness, then we all become the one human soul again. So for you to access the everyone, the truth is that it's always been there. The idea that there is separation between us is just an illusion. It's a belief that we have. And so, and the veil is there. The veil is a real thing. Like the veil prevents us from seeing things. But through this process of healing, of raising our vibration, it becomes increasingly accessible. And there's an interesting twist to that, which is that just because someone has a high vibration doesn't necessarily mean that they are going to be able to channel or access their gifts or whatever. That you can have someone who's incredibly gifted psychically, but a very low vibration. So, and that is, I always mention that because I think it's super important for people to realize that you can have people out there who are channeling really dark stuff, or you can go to a psychic who's reading stuff, but what they're reading is your fears, not your truth. So you can have people who are really connected to their gifts, and all that means is they've permeated the veil. It doesn't mean that they're high vibe. That just means that the veil is not as thick for them.
What is your definition for an angel? Because traditionally, I think an angel is basically a messenger.
Yeah. And that, I love that. I think it is a beautiful way. Like there are so many different ways to express that truth. And angels are messengers, but not in the way that we think of. Like in all the old paintings, you would see an angel like carrying like an envelope, and like it'd be like UPS delivering a message. But the truth is that angels are an essence, and they are everywhere. And they're like a fluid energy, and they do have identity in the same way that human consciousness is an essence. And within human consciousness are you and me and everybody else who's with us right now. And so for angels, so say for example, right now you were to call on Archangel Michael. Well, Archangel Michael is a personality. He is an individual within the angelic consciousness. He can go out of the essence that's all around me right now. He can come into presence with me. And then when we're done, he can dissipate out into the everything, because it's just like in our human body, every cell holds all the information. Well, same thing in the essence, every little molecule of air holds all of angelic presence. He can collect himself and become himself anywhere at once. So the way that they will bring awareness, because they are everywhere, they don't need to deliver you something and carry it somewhere else. They are already here with you. All they have to do is direct awareness, presence to your prayer, to your words. So awareness is divinity. Awareness is source. So your awareness is what is your creative spark. Where you put your awareness, you create. So the angels can do that too. As you say a prayer, as you ask for help, then the angels direct awareness, and they direct cosmic awareness, the awareness of source, to your prayer or to your words. And that's the message. It basically, they amplify it. They make it brighter. They make it bigger, because they're bringing more of that divine awareness to whatever you say. So, and the more awareness it has, the more it becomes sort of magnified, into reality.
Now, do guardian angels work the same way, or is that just with the archangel?
So all angels work that way, and you can have, there's loads and there's way more angels than there are people, like way, way, way more angels than
Hmm.
people. But angels have different roles, and guardian angels, one of my favorite topics, because this is so interesting, is that a guardian angel is an incarnated angel. So a guardian angel is an angel that was born with you when you are born. And angels can be born, but just because they're born doesn't mean we can see them. They're here on the earth, and they're incarnated, but they're at a higher frequency than us. So we don't actually fit. Most people don't actually see them. You see people once in a while who'll be like, I saw an angel, and that's real. Like they're here. But your guardian angel is literally like almost like physically part of you. And their role is to protect your divine spark. So it's like we each have a role. The angels are the light of the divine. We are the spark of the divine. And so that spark is because we are creative. So we're different from angels in that we can create our reality, that we are just like source in that what we think or what comes through us becomes our reality. And angels can create stuff. They can be like, you'll hear stories about like loaves and fishes or whatever, and they can do things like that. But they are not constantly creating their reality everywhere they go. And we literally are the light, our source energy comes through us, and then it becomes what we walk into is what has we've created from our own energy. And that makes us unique, and that makes us much more like source. So that is why the angels are so mesmerized by us, because we have this divine spark. We have the ability to create our reality completely. And they don't have that. They can create, but they are moving through the reality as it stands. And humanity shares a co-created construct that we've all created in order to experience ourselves. And then we're moving within the boundaries and the rules of that co-created construct. And there are angels here that help us, that respect our free will, that help to keep us on a pathway that is in alignment with what we decided for our highest and best for this journey.
You're saying that humans have a co-created construct with
Yeah.
angels. Do they also have this construct with ETs? And
Oh,
and
so
and do the angels ever channel information about ETs?
yeah, they for the longest time they never said anything about ETs. Like I've been channeling them for several years, many years now. I lose track of time. But and they all of a sudden out of the blue at the beginning of this year, in January of this year, they came through with a couple messages specifically about ETs. And they said it's so interesting. They've told us a lot about it. They basically said that humanity, that our genetic structure, that we are like a seed garden for the universe, that we have belonging all throughout the universe, because so many different races have participated in what we are, that in how we have evolved. So literally it's like all these different races have planted a seed within us. And the way the angels described it, it's funny. They were talking about how it's like there's all these different forces that are vying for expression inside of us, because we're carrying all of this information, all this genetic information. But what it does is it makes us belong all over the universe. We belong everywhere. And that makes us very, very unique, that there aren't other races that belong everywhere, but we do. We're like the children of everyone. And so humanity has this unique part of ourselves, that is the fact that we can be part of, yeah, part of every different place in the universe. As far as I understand it, they said that up until now we've been protected, but that there will come a time when ETs will come and show themselves to us, and the goal for us is to become galactic citizens. We're not meant to stay isolated here, that we're meant to take a place out in with everybody else that's out there. And the thing that they're waiting for us to achieve is that we have to achieve peace, that we can't be fighting amongst ourselves. And that sounds like an impossible task, except we are now going through our shift, which will bring us world peace. And they've told us exactly how that's going to happen. And I know it sounds impossible, because we think, how in the world can people change that much? That there might be certain parts of the world or certain people in the world that'd be like, yeah, that person can be peaceful, but what about that? Like, what about the craziness and the war? How can we possibly overcome that? And the only thing that's going to make a difference is if people change. We have to change at a fundamental level. And so that is why we're going through this shift. And there will be the thing that's changing us is the light that's coming to the planet, and it's increasing. And the angels, one of their favorite topics is there is a great flash of light, an enormous flash of light that's coming. And that, they say, it is the moment that we will point to that is the moment that changes everything. That once we're past it, we will look back on that moment and say, that is the moment that everything changed. And it is a solar light of some sort. So it comes from some sort of a sun or a star, and it's going to hit the planet. And when it does, they said it will hit everybody and everything. You will not miss it. People worry about that. What if I'm, what if I'm not ready? What if I'm, you can't, even if you were down in a, deep mine in the earth, they said it will penetrate the earth. You could be down in your basement. You're not going to miss it. It will hit everyone. And the only thing that would make someone not receptive to this light is, again, they have to respect free will. That if someone is clinging desperately to the way things were, if someone is really, really wishing that things would not change and they're clinging on to our old reality, and that comes from fear. It comes from the fear of losing their 401k or their pension, or fear of losing their family, or fear of losing anything, fear of losing their old way of life, a fear of the unfamiliar. That is what closes our energy, because we're like, no, I want that. I want what used to be. And so we turn away from the light. All we have to do is be willing, is be open to things changing, is be open to the idea that the new can be, and it will be incredible. But so this big flash of light comes, and what it does is it opens us up to our natural state of telepathic communion with one another. It's like, you talk about empathy on steroids. It is that. It is a deep connection of hyper empathy between people, where we feel each other's feelings. And so imagine what that will be like as people try to go to war with one another, when they feel the other person's pain. And they said that it will change everything. So that is a huge piece of what changes us. And then the other thing is, there are going to be some incredibly dramatic earth events that are gradually going to tear down the structures of our world that are keeping us the way we are. So there's so much of the way that the world is right now that we can't change, because we are living within this shared construct, and the strings are being pulled in ways that we have no control over. There are these very, very entrenched systems that we can't get past. And so those have to be torn down. And so that is all of these different events that are coming. They tear down those events. Then we have the flash of light. And we've been getting hit with light all this time. As a matter of fact, they came through and told us, they're like, watch out, there's going to be these lights coming right before this massive the recent crazy week we had with all the aurora borealis. They gave us a message the day before, the Friday before, telling us there's going to be this huge uptick in energies coming now through November. So we're going to be experiencing more of these heightened energies. And so this has been happening, but the coup de grace, the big one, is the flash of light that they're talking about that's coming. And they've given me, like I said, the sequences of things, not specific dates, because they don't have time. So it's very hard for them to be accurate with, it's going to happen on Tuesday. It's like, no, but they tell me this will happen, then this will happen, then this will happen. So to get back to your question about ETs, as soon as we achieve, basically at the end of all this process, at the end of our shift, at the end of the earth events, at the end of where our consciousness has raised enough that we can feel each other's feelings, that we achieve world peace, then the aliens come. I shouldn't call them aliens. I should call them planet beings from off planet are going to come. And they, at that point, will help us. They'll help us to eventually move off planet, which is the goal, for us to join and become galactic citizens.
Are you saying that this flash of light is like a solar flare? And if so, do you think it's going to be coming from our sun?
It could be, it's going to be bigger than anything we've experienced in our human history, because they said it will be felt around the world. It will be unmistakable. So there's a lot of people like, was that the flash of light? No, it will be unmistakable. It is definitely not a nuclear thing. There's some people that get confused and think I'm talking about a nuclear bomb. No, it's not that. It is definitely solar, but it could be, like people have talked about, could it be Betelgeuse, right? That Betelgeuse is supposed to supernova. I think it's something like that. It's something like a big supernova, huge wave of energy. So, which is fascinating, because apparently, so Betelgeuse is this star that the scientists have been watching, that they say but they can tell by the condition, the wobble of the star, they can tell that it is about to supernova. From our perspective. But what's so funny is, because it takes so long for the light to reach us, It actually supernovaed back in the like our 1400s, but the light is finally just about here. And so it could come. The scientists have said it could come. It could come tomorrow. It could come next year. We don't know. And the angel said the flash of light is coming very soon. So that is the type of event. So it might as well be Beetlejuice. It could be. That could be it. I don't know. They haven't confirmed that for me, but it's something they specifically said. It is a solar energy, and it will be unlike anything else that we have on record. Yeah.
Can you speculate on some of the dramatic Earth events that are supposed to happen, like flooding or earthquakes or what?
Yeah. Yeah, they've been very, very specific about of all the details that they have given us. So when they first started coming through in like July of 2020 is when I first started channeling the angels and in this way. And they came through, and for that first 6 months, and I didn't even realize it was so specific. It was from July to December of 2020. And they just came through. Almost every message was about the earth changes and major events. And then in January 1, 2021, they shifted and started talking about our relationship with the angels and other topics. But during that period, they gave us all these details about what was coming. And since then, about 30% of those things have come true, and very specific things. So it was fascinating to me to see how it all evolved. And they kind of, some of the stuff are like breadcrumbs, where I think it's like we don't quite understand the full impact of things. And as they unfold, they seem like little things, but they turn out to be big things. And there was random things they said. Like they said that truck drivers would abandon their routes. And I thought, what a random thing to say. Why would truck drivers? And I was speculating at the time. I'm like, well, maybe it's because of COVID and there's riots in the world, and maybe they won't drive because of riots. No, it wasn't that at all. It was a bunch of different reasons. Like in the UK, because of Brexit, there was 100,000 truck drivers that didn't show up for work. And then we had the truck driver convoys that happened. And we had like, it was, and in Australia, there was a truck driver, they were talking about truck driver strike. So it turned out to be a huge thing that happened. But when they first brought through the message, I only understood, because that's my limited brain, I understood this much of it. But so they've given us these breadcrumbs. They said that that the major, if I had to put like a pin in, what are the landmark things that are changing? Massive economic problems are on the horizon. And they talked about it already. They named the bank failure back in 2020. But I think we're not done with the bank failure. So they talked about the bank failing. They described it exactly as it happened. They said it would be very large deposits would be the ones that were affected, which is what happened with Silicon Valley Bank. That it was the people who were beyond the FDIC insurance limit are the ones those were the banks that failed and the people that suffered. And they said that they also said they would get their money back, which they did. But they mentioned it, I think, because it's a puzzle piece in a much larger picture. So they said this is sort of the first thing, the first inkling you have that this major collapse is happening. And they've said there would be a big crash, a big time crash. And they said it has to happen because they said that it is the energy of exhaustion, that you cannot burn things down to the point where they can be rebuilt. You have to burn it down. And think about the energy of an exhaustion as an energy that's moving across the globe, and it's showing up everywhere. So for example, in war zones, it isn't a situation where things are burned or slightly bombed. It is the thing where a block of buildings is leveled to the ground to the point where it cannot be rebuilt. And they said this energy is necessary. And that's the same thing like the fires in Maui burned to the ground, because if we only do it halfway, the power structures are so strong. And we saw this in the economic crash here of 2008, that what ended up happening is that people who were in charge paid themselves first. They took care of themselves to rebuild the structures. And then after that, then all the people are taken care of. So if we leave them standing even on one foot, they will just gather whatever resources are left to build their power structures again before the rest of the world recovers. And so they said, nope, we got to burn it down. We got to take everything that they count on, everything that they use to keep themselves, to keep those power. And it's not like, I'm not saying that there's like, it's the power structures are this web of things. It's complicated how those structures stay in place, but all of it has to be taken down. So major collapse. And I know that's scary, but it is part of what is needed so that we can be free. And freedom, you talk about, I mentioned the mother of creation, her whole thing is create and release, create and release. It is freedom. Everything has to be free. And where we don't have freedom, things are not in their right natural order. And so we have to evolve. We have to tear things down and burn things down in order to create the opportunity for freedom. So we have economic collapse. We have political collapse, that the United States, they said very specifically that the United States will no longer be united, that they're going to break apart into smaller groups of states. And what that looks like, I'm not entirely sure, but they also said, and my hunch, this is not, like I said, they don't give me dates, but given what they said, I would not be surprised if that started happening this fall with the election. Is that because they did say that there would be a leader who dies. And I think that it would be a situation where it could be that we have a candidate who looks like it's going to be elected, and that candidate then dies, and it creates riots and it cares about the country. And they said it would not be a civil war, that there would be riots and a few things like that, skirmishes you might call it, but it would be a peaceful separation, and that eventually people would voluntarily move to one place or another based on where they wanted to be.
Well, it sounds like a global reset is coming.
Huge, huge.
Are there going to be any structures that are going to survive?
Yes. Well, so yes. And they said there will still be, and there's pieces to this. So this is the stuff that happens first, the the political reset, and then economic reset. And I believe but the structures that survive are going to be the ones that are in alignment with the new energy. The old energy is one of separation. It's the one of gathering resources and into smaller and smaller and smaller hands. And the new energies are ones about distributing energy and resources. So those, you can even have a corporation, but if that corporation is about serving the greater good, if their reason for being and their way of operating is about trying to uplift everyone, to uplift all boats in a rising tide, those are the companies that can survive. And so they said there will still be an economy. As a matter of fact, the angels at one point came through, and I have never been a cryptocurrency person. It was not my jam at all. But so they knew that I would not necessarily lean in that direction. But they came through at one point and told me that there at some point will be, they said, an agreed upon currency. There will be a global currency that everyone agrees on. And they said, when that happens, that I should move to that currency, because it would make my work affordable for everyone around the world, that exchange rates would no longer prevent people from working with me. So, and that was specifically given to me, telling me to do that. And so people have to follow their own heart about what feels right for them. But yeah, so there will still be travel, but travel will look really, really different. It's not going to look the same. And I think that is in the far future. I think that's after the aliens get here. Then, excuse me, I need to get a new word other than aliens. How do you refer to off-planet beings?
I mean, I usually say aliens or ETs.
ETs, yeah, ETs, I guess. ETs is probably better. And but in any case, that we will get to a place where travel looks different, where all of that. So we will still have an economy of some sort, but it's not going to look the same. It's going to be about much smaller things are going to be locally provided. They said that the shipping industry would be catastrophic. Shipping specifically would be catastrophic. And right now, our whole global system is designed with just-in-time manufacturing, where there's a piece designed here, provided here, and you collect it all together and build it in one place, and that's not going to work. So some of the big advice that the angels have given is figure out now how you can get your needs met locally. Start to build your communities locally. Meet the people in your neighborhood. Who's got what skills, and if you need specific things, what is the most local source of that thing that you can find? And because shipping and the visions that they've given me, imagine that you have somebody who's growing produce somewhere, and they need, in order to get that produce from their farm onto your table, there needs to be workers that show up that help them collect all the produce. There has to be trucks that show up that deliver it. There has to be a way to get paid. And all of those pieces break at different times. So sometimes it all comes together and they can ship the produce. Sometimes it doesn't. And so, sometimes the people show up and the trucks are there, but there's the payment processing. They said there'll be issues with payment processing, that at certain points we will not be able to transfer money. And that's already shown up with Swift. When I first saw that the way that we blocked or tried to punish Russia for what was going on in Ukraine was by blocking their access to payment systems, which is exactly what they talked about. The angels gave us that message at the same time that they said the US would lose its political hegemony, its political power in the world. And that was the thing that did it. And we blocked them from using Swift. And since then, there has been a global move away from the US dollar, which is gradually, very quickly, actually eroding the power of the United States and the power of the dollar. So it's been fascinating to see what they said and to see how they've given us these nuggets that seem to be the pivotal moments that are gradually breaking down these systems. And yeah, so there's just so much here to talk about. It's just, there's so many layers. But the key is, as an individual, is to focus on, like I said, get your needs met locally and think about your world becoming smaller in that way, but much broader in the sense that we will be connected to everyone. So at some point, there's going to be a period of there, like it's almost like all the lights go out for a little while. All of technology shuts down. They call it 3 days, but I don't know if it's actually 3 days. It's 3 days of darkness. I don't know if it'll be 3 days or 3 years or 3 minutes. I have no idea. But they said it is that we get to keep technology, but it's a reset for technology. And they said that technology right now is born from a negative consciousness. That technology itself is not bad, but current technology is born from a consciousness of control and lack and suffering and all this stuff. So it needs to be restarted. So we get this 3 days of darkness, everything goes dark. And during that time, we learn to connect to one another telepathically. We remember that we're connected to one another, and we don't need phones anymore. We can connect telepathically. But then eventually technology comes back on, and we don't forget everything that we know. We get technology again, but it's reborn at the new heightened state of consciousness.
Is there any other way to prepare for this shift?
Gosh, yeah. The biggest thing that we can do, honestly, everything is energy. And I know the first thing people want to do is to start preparing physically. Like we think, oh my gosh, I need to, stockpile this or that. And that is much less important. Like, yes, the angels have said consistently, they've said, have a way to clean your water, that you want to be able to get pure, clean water. That is important, because there's going to be a lot of flooding there's a big event, an earth rift, they call it, that will affect everyone on Earth gradually. And that's a big one. And it will create, in addition to that, they've said all along, there's going to be increasing flooding, and that can disturb your water supply. So you want to be able to easily get clean water. So you want, ideally, a water filtration system where you don't have to boil your water to eliminate viruses. So there's several different options out there. People ask which one, and there's loads of opinions on that. So I would just suggest that people do their research to find one that they like. But have a way to get clean water, have a backstock of food. You don't have to go crazy. Like literally a large bag of rice and a large bag of beans. If you're on a budget, that's very inexpensive. And just have it there, because they last. So you could buy it now. And like I said, the angels don't know timing. When is this going to happen? I can't give you. I think personally, like my guess, this is me, this is not channeled. I think that we see the flash and the earth rift in 2026. That's my guess. I do not know that. It could be a decade. I don't know. But my belief is it's going to be there. And that is not channeled. That is, like I said, I'm gathering that based on everything else that I'm seeing, on the dreams that I'm seeing from people, on astrology, on a bunch of different things, is why I think it'll be like later in 2026. Which is awesome, right? Like, yes, please, let's get there now. Let's pull that Band-Aid off quick and get there as fast as we can. So if that's the case, we're not talking about forever. We're talking about, you need a way to just keep yourself as comfortable as you can for this period, and know that as the bad things happen, they said not every bad thing happens everywhere. The earth is a giant place. You can have flooding, you can have fires, but where you are, none of that may happen, right? You're going to have some of these experiences, but not everything. So will you be okay? Everybody is going to be okay in different ways, that we will find our way through it. We have to listen to our heart, listen to our guidance, our internal guidance, follow your intuition. But the things we can do, the most important thing we can do right now is to heal. This period that we are in right now is it's an incredible gift to be here right now, because in this life, this is the first time in human history that we have had access to every past life we've ever lived, to every past incarnation. In the past, every incarnation you had, you would get access to just a few lives, a few past lives that seemed relevant to the goals you set for your current life. And other than that, the Akashic records were closed. And there were maybe a few people on Earth who had the gift of being able to access them, but basically they were closed. This life, that is not the case. They have given everyone the keys. We have access to everything. And the Earth is one of the most helpful karmic schools in the galaxy, in the universe. Your opportunity to heal right now, to brighten your own frequency as a soul, to raise your frequency for yourself and for all of humanity, is unlike any other time in history. And so if people focus on working through, like, it will not take you long. If you dig in right now, you will clear your karma, and then you will move into clearing other aspects of yourself. And your frequency can go up and up and up and up. So as that happens, like, you have the immediate benefit of not living through your karma over and over and over again. But as you get your masculine and feminine energy, as they come into balance, you connect to your higher self, and your life becomes so much more friction free. So that is my work at this point. It is trying to help people get to that state. It's trying to heal to the point where they get to this state of balanced masculine and feminine energy. And the goal is, because as we do this, this flash of light comes, we are open, we're receptive, we're ready to move into this new state of being, and we help humanity, all of us. We can show anybody else who has been resistant, who is has not been ready up until this point, who has not been on a spiritual path. You become like a beacon to help others, to show them how to do it.
Well, if we don't have karma anymore, will there still be a point of being here after the shift?
Yes, I love that question. Yes, yes, yes. So the new earth, what our goal will be in the new earth will be to experience ourselves. Remember I said how we are the divine spark? It will be to understand ourselves as manifestors. So without karma, like right now, the whole point has been to understand ourself by bumping into ourselves all the time. It's been like the school of hard knocks. Well, without karma, that changes. And now we live what's called a dharmic experience, which is the best way the angels have described it in terms of a metaphor, is imagine that you are standing on the edge of a wave that is breaking, and that wave never stops. It's just a constant wave. You're standing right on the edge of it, and reality is constantly coming up to meet you, and you live in the exact now moment all the time. And you don't have plans. You don't like lay out, you don't have like the 6-month plan of how you're going to do things. You're literally constantly living in the now. And reality comes up to meet you, and you experience yourself in that reality. And then from yourself, you say, okay, what part of myself, how do I want to experience myself? I see myself being reflected back to me as the world is rising. And I see, oh, wow, this part of me is really joyful and happy, but this part I'm experiencing sadness, or I'm in conflict with a friend, or I'm experiencing harsh words or whatever. And you heal it in the moment. You don't just live it and go back and ruminate about, like, right now we are living all the time in the past, because we are constantly reflecting on the now. Like, we go through a conversation and then we relive that conversation in our heads for 2 hours. In the new now, we are living in the now, and we heal it in the moment. We're so present, we're so conscious that we're aware of our feelings, and we're able to say, because we have this beautiful empathic communication with each other, what the person feels. Oh, wow, what I just said made you feel heavy. And you can be like, yeah, I do have this heaviness. Let's explore that in me. And they're like, yeah, great. Let's explore that. Where do you feel like that heaviness comes from? And you can heal it in the moment. And so you're constantly experiencing yourself in ways of positivity. So it does not have to be, it can be a joyful life, becomes a joyful experience of co-creation and creation from yourself. And then we become the stewards of the earth. So we really understand our connection, that we are like the neurons of the earth. And so we learn to live in a symbiotic way with the earth. So our whole reason for being changes, and it's way more fun, like way more fun.
I'm going to shift the conversation just a little. You're going to be at the Sedona Transcendence Retreat in September. What are you going to be talking about there?
Oh, I'm super excited. So I will be bringing in the angels live, channeling with everyone, and which is such an incredible experience, because the fact is that everybody has their own direct relationship with the angels. So when the angels are there present when we're channeling, they often will have their own physical experience of them. People will feel it as sometimes tingling or pressure, or something in their body changes, that it's they or emotion rises. It's amazing. So it's a beautiful experience to channel together in a large group like that. It's just wonderful. So I will be channeling the angels, bringing them in. I will also be doing a workshop on soul types to help people understand themselves better as manifestors. So they understand, and that's a whole another amazing concept to talk through, that to understand yourself as a manifestor, that there are 7 different soul types, 7 different ways that each of us manifest. So once you understand your way of working in reality and what your role is in the collective, you become a way more powerful, not only individual in terms of working in your reality, but also working with others. So, and it's really, the time is now for this information, because we are talking about trying to come together as a collective and help one another. And then I will also be bringing a group out for an experience out in Sedona, a peace bathing experience, which is where I channel the angels. They bring us up into the vibration of peace, where incredible healing is available to us. And we'll be doing that out in nature in Sedona. I cannot wait to experience it myself. I haven't been to Sedona before, so this is going to be, I'm super excited to go.
Well, it'd be really cool if you could be channeling the angels in one of those vortexes.
I think that's what we're doing. I'm so excited. Yeah, I cannot wait to see what it's like.
Well, earlier you mentioned the Earth Rift. Can you
Yeah.
tell us more about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It is a hard one. Like it's hard to think about and to hear about. The Earth Rift is, it's one of the first messages that they brought through. And when I first got it, I sat on it for 4 months and didn't tell anyone, because the last thing I wanted to be was that person who's like, the end is near. The Earth Rift is a big deal. It is not like, there's a lot of people who are concerned right now that we're going to have a polar shift that is going to wipe out most of the Earth. And that is not, the angels have said that it's not that kind of an extinction event. It's not that. The Earth Rift is, however, a major, like, think of it this way, that we have to go through our own healing. And healing, when we heal, emotions come up, and it's not a gentle process. When we feel emotion, it's internally violent, right? It comes up and we ugly cry and it's crazy, right? The earth has to do that too. The anger has, the earth is, the whole reason for this shift is that the earth is changing. The earth is raising her vibration. She is a soul just like we're a soul. And her process is an ugly process, and energy has to come up. And that energy is going to come up as an earth rift. And my understanding is it's going to come up, that the pinpoint is in the Indian Ocean, that it's going to rise up, and it's like some kind of volcanic type experience, something that comes up. I think it's in the, somewhere in the, like near Indonesia, somewhere in there. And it will change the face of the earth. They said it will be heard, everyone on the earth will hear it. When I first heard about Tonga, I wondered, because Tonga you could hear halfway around the earth. They said this will be significantly bigger because you can hear it all the way around the earth. And it will be a thing where it will change our weather patterns for a while. That I think that it may be a situation where there's, if it happens in the ocean, it may be that it boils off water. I'm not sure. Or maybe it's cloud cover from the debris from it, but it gets colder for a while. That there will be I think, and I think that is an issue. So we have to think about that. And that's why I say have a backstock of food, get to know your neighbors, you know what I mean? Stuff like that. And not a ton, the last thing they want us to do is to be in fear, because the whole point is, if you raise your vibration, you will be fine. That you can be an experience of chaos. And if your vibration is high, you will be fine. And we don't understand that because we've only ever lived in this 3D reality. It's not going to be the same anymore. So we have to trust them. Trust that if you raise your vibration, if you focus on love, if you focus on gratitude, if you stay in that space, you will be fine. There will be, unfortunately, with this, there will be a lot of people who pass during this experience, but they are all people who came to Earth knowing that would happen, and they will not feel pain. The angels have showed me that they will all be brought, basically collected from their bodies before they experience pain, and they will be all brought up into an experience of the ever after. And some of those people will be able to stay if they choose. It will be personal choice. Some people will choose to stay in the new earth and reincarnate back onto earth in the new vibration. Other people will feel like they have more to learn by staying in a karmic construct, and they will go to a new planet that is going to be the new school of karma that is not here. They can't stay here if they want to stay in a karmic construct. And there will be many souls who think they have more to learn. There's no judgment in that. It's just, what do you want for your soul experience? Where are you? Where is someone in terms of their own journey? If they feel like they still are in the middle of that karma and they really want to finish it out, then they can go to another place where they can do it. But the Earth Rift is going to be, yeah. And in terms of the timing of the Earth Rift, I can't give you a date. I mean, it may be in 2026. Like I said, that it's happened after the Earth Rift happens. The Earth Rift happens, they said it happens in the middle of the ruckus. So the angels give me timing of things. They don't give me timing. I mean, they give me sequence. And they said the Earth Rift happens in like at the peak of all the other chaos. So when we get to like, and so that's why I say breathe easy for now, because the other things haven't happened. We have not yet experienced the economic collapse. The US is still one country, right? After all of that, then the Earth Rift happens. So we have time. So wait until once the other stuff happens, then you can be like, okay, maybe it's getting closer, because if if these other things have happened, then it's on the horizon. After the Earth Rift, then, and after that helps us. That is one of the things that brings everything down to the energy of exhaustion, because people learn, oh my gosh, we've had such a traumatic event on the Earth. What in the world are we doing fighting one another? Countries don't make sense anymore. And I believe that the Earth Rift happens probably at around the same time as the flash of light. It could be because there's a relationship between Earth events and solar events. Solar flares, energy hitting the planets, can sometimes create these volcanic explosions and things like that. So it could be that it happens all at the same time. It could be Earth event, or flash of light, Earth explosion stuff happening. So we at that point all have higher frequencies. We are all benefiting from that higher perspective. So we're able to come together in new ways. And the new reality is going to be incredible. So the people who leave the planet in that, like I said, they will not suffer. And the angels have been very, very clear that no one will be left behind. Every single soul is cherished. Every single soul is valuable. They will all be gathered very carefully and be brought into a beautiful experience. So they are going to be the ones that think that they got the lottery ticket, because they get to go onto this incredible, incredible new reality of what life is after the Earth School, which feels, from you've done so many NDEs. Everyone says that reality feels so much more real than this one. But for those who contracted to stay to help build the new Earth, then at that point, that's when our work begins. But we don't have to do it by ourselves, because that is when our friends come to help us, and they bring us technologies that help us to move off planet and to become part of the galaxy, to become galactic citizens. So I know it's a lot, and people can tend to be very, very fearful about what's coming. And all I can say is that, like I said, the angels told us they definitely want us to continue to invest in our lives. Any energy that you would like to see continue forward into your world, into the new world, even if the structures don't exist, the energies do. So, for example, if you are investing in a savings for your kids' college education, keep doing it, because that's an energy. You are investing in your children's future. And it may be that the colleges don't exist. It may be that, who knows, right? But the fact is that your energy will. And so you will be continuing to invest in your child, and it'll just take on, that structure will become in a new way. So continue to invest in your life as if, because that's all we can do. There is no possible way that we can prepare for something that we don't understand. And all that does is create anxiety. All anxiety is the feeling that you have to do something and you don't know what that something is. That is literally a definition of anxiety. So if you come away from this feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to go, what should I do? And what is it going to be? You will just spin yourself into crazy. So they say, don't do that. You don't. All you have to do is work on yourself, heal yourself, have a way to clean your water, have a small backstock of food, and trust, and be open to change. And then it will be a different world, but that different is going to be amazing. And so you just have to be open to it. Eventually, humanity gets to a place where we are living in a very, very different way, in harmony with the earth. And it's such a better life. We are no longer slaves to the grind. We get to live as expressed conscious beings.
Do you think it's going to happen potentially even sooner than 2026? Because right now there are more people on the planet than ever, with 8 billion souls here.
Yeah. I don't think it'll happen. I think, to me, I mean, that's my guess, is late 2026. But I think all these other things are going to happen. Like, let's wait and see what happens this fall. If the US falls apart this fall, that is going to be the big sign that things are speeding up. I mean, things have been speeding up. The stuff that they've been telling us about has been happening faster and faster and faster. And yeah, so that's for me, that's what I'm looking towards. If that happens this fall, then I'll be like, okay, game's on. Now we're getting close. And if that happens this fall, we could have a broader global economic collapse. Astrology, if you look at it, I'm not an astrologer, but I watch a lot of astrology. I love astrology. And there is the most likely timing for that, for a bigger, broader global collapse, is like between March and May of 2025, which kind of fits the timeline, if that is true. And then, I think that there will be increasing war, and the angels did say that, increasing war going forward, that pretty much that the US has been the gatekeeper on a lot of things. They've kind of patrolled the oceans all this time. And if we are a mess over here, then that opens the playing field for lots of other people to take over. And that creates a lot of war. What the angels specifically said is that when the US no longer has their eye on the ball, that opens up for China to then officially try to bring Taiwan back in, which Taiwan wants to be independent. And so them trying to take in Taiwan, that Japan then tries to rally the rest of the world against China, is what the angels said. So I am not a global politics person. I'm not a politics person at all. But after I channeled that, my son is, and he said, yep, that could be very likely. Apparently, Japan has been investing a ton of money in war for the last couple of years, and apparently they are anyway. So that is a possibility that could happen. But so increasing war, but understand all of it is it's about bringing it up to a crescendo, that all this energy is already there. It's in the earth. It's in us. That we have to purge our anger. We have to purge our hatred, all this polarity, all this people hating people, and the craziness. That energy has always been there. It was just repressed. And we have to bring it up to the surface and see it and love it. We have to see that when you see something out there that you think is horrible, that you think is disdainful, notice that there's something in you that is emotionally reacting to it, and that energy is inside of you in one way or another. It could be as a wound, it could be a fear, but we have to love that part of ourselves and love that in other. We have to love all of it, and that's how we heal it.
And you've given us a lot to think about today.
I think I was talking a million miles an hour.
I think you were great. Well, afterwards, people may want to reach out to you and ask you questions. Are you open to that?
100%. Yeah. So people can find me at on my website is anntucker.com. I have a YouTube channel, which is also my name, Ann Tucker. And yeah, so people can find me there.
Do you have anything else that you're working on that you want people to know about?
Yes, I would love to. I am offering a program for healing, for bringing your masculine and feminine energy into balance to connect to your higher self, which then accesses your spiritual gifts. It's called Soul Convergence, and that starts. I run that a couple times a year. It starts again, actually, very quickly here. And then the other thing is I'm also going to do a retreat in October, which is going to be bringing in the mother of creation, and it's a healing retreat. It's going to be on, but they can find out about it on my website. But those are definitely things I would love to share with people if they are interested in living their lives in a more friction-free way.
Well, before we wrap it up, can you leave us with one last positive message?
Yes, I would say one of the most encouraging things is that the angels say they don't experience time. They see things, every moment is now, and they tell us that we've already made it. That they see us, we have already succeeded in this shift, that we can't mess it up. All we have to do is listen to our hearts, and we will get there, and it's going to be awesome.
And thank you for your message, and thank you for being my guest.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.